Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Gaming News at Noon with Salty and Boom. I am one of your hosts, MrBooMStickXL, and as you can hear in my voice, I'm stoked. I'm excited. I'm beside myself because we have on tap 18 ridiculously awesome topics. But in order to start the show the right way, I need to introduce the showrunner of the Saltiest Gaming Podcast, my co-host and very good friend, Salty. Welcome to the show, dude.
Hey, today it's Darth Salty. We who was it? Born Distracted saying Darth Salty. I like it. I love it. I love me some Star Wars. There's
Yes.
actually been some good Star Wars news out there too, but I don't think we're getting into that today. We have 18 great topics, man. It's good to be back on a Wednesday, hump day. Yeah, it's going live and we're loaded, man. I got my dark black coffee ready to go, and I'm hyped, dude. Let's do it.
Yes. Well, listen. Let's start off strong. As everyone knows, I enjoy my PlayStation 4 immensely. One of the games in this generation that I can't stop talking about is Horizon Zero Dawn, and why this story is important because it celebrated its second anniversary, and in that second anniversary, considering it's a new IP for Sony, it has sold 10 million copies worldwide. And listen, considering this game was developed by Guerrilla Games, who's only been known for Killzone, this is huge. Now, the title officially released on February 28th, 2017, and took the open world game by storm for the PlayStation. And while some gamers didn't enjoy the main and side quests of the actual title, I absolutely loved it from start to finish. Aloy is a fantastic and strong female lead character for the Sony platform. And I'm going to say this, and I'm not ashamed. To me, she is as important as Kratos or Nathan Drake, simply because it's a new IP. And yes, it's a strong female led title. And I absolutely love that Sony took a chance and they allowed this game to happen. Salty, there's no doubt that Guerrilla Games is hard at work on the sequel to this amazing IP. But what are your expectations for Horizon Zero Dawn 2? And more specifically, how awesome is it to see the company, Guerrilla Games, hit that 10 million mark on a new IP?
Well, man, I have a lot to say about this. First of all, when you're looking at it, it's not easy to make a new IP. You know, just ask Microsoft this generation how easy it
Yep,
is
great
to
point.
create one and foster it and get a sequel out. So that being said, it's not easy. So it's crazy that they got this game out and from a developer that wasn't, well received with their last entry, and they do something totally different and knock it out of the proverbial park, as they say. It's crazy because usually with games, they gain traction on the sequel, like the first one, especially with the new IP, they try to, play it safe or do what they can to make sure that it's well received. Then with the sequel, they try to ramp it up. Like you've seen a lot of titles with the second one. It's a beloved title like Halo 2, for example. A lot of people like that. There's just second iterations tend to be better. So the fact of the matter is this game was good right off the bat, and then it sold as well as it did. It was up for Game of the Year nomination. You put all that together, and it's just a really good thing for Sony. It's really important to infuse these new IPs into your company, especially just if you want to keep things fresh, because that's the main thing that I feel like Microsoft was missing this generation is a new IP that is a must buy, a big seller, like this Horizon Zero Dawn up in the 10 millions. Like Xbox really hasn't had that this generation. And I think that shows. But as far as Guerrilla Games goes and this title, I think it's very important that they improve and they evolve the title. They don't kind of keep it as is, which I'm sure they will. I'm not sure what kind of direction they'll go with it. Usually with these open world games, it's like popular to make the map bigger, but you got to do something other than that. It's just it's easy to fall back on that. Let's make it bigger, but you got to actually evolve it and make it better, if that makes sense. So.
No, it actually makes a lot of sense. And, they've been working on this title supposedly for a couple of years. So it's safe to assume that this could potentially, okay, be a launch title or in that launch window for the PlayStation 5. And for me, obviously, I'm the day one buyer. Let's hope that they have a collector's edition that was out as amazing as the first one. But let's move on to the next story. And this is a little bit of a bummer. The Walking Dead as a comic, as a TV show, is still chugging along. So when you hear new IPs or new content is coming out, you get excited. Now, last year, obviously, we saw the death of Telltale, right? And
Yep.
they were made famous from The Walking Dead. That's really what they were, their claim to fame, and for good reason. They told an amazing emotional story. The first two were absolutely incredible. The next few, it's not so much. But you know what? That's not what we're talking about. What I find to be amazing is the Walking Dead game that was being made by Overkill was in the news recently. Actually, has been in the news since it was announced. I think until 2015 is when they started talking, or 2015, 2016. And sadly enough, they just announced that the console versions have officially been canceled by Skybound Games. I seen some video of it, and yes, it did not look like the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it's another Walking Dead game that we're not going to get. This game suffered a tremendous amount of delays, and it would be considered a troubled development to to be nice. You would say that the PC version that was released was badly received, and they decided to scrap it because it failed to meet the publisher's standards. And this is what they had to say on a strong press release. Ultimately, Overkill's The Walking Dead did not meet our standards, nor its quality that was promised, wrote Skybound Games in a blog post in the website. Salty, is this surprising to you, knowing how many delays this game had? And are you saddened to see a Walking Dead game almost come out and then get scrapped at the last minute?
Okay, first of all, it's never a good thing when they cancel games. People worked hard on these projects, especially with video games. I can't imagine, imagine working, putting your time, blood, sweat, and tears into a project for years, sacrificing time with your family, whatever. And, you get the game almost to completion, and then all of a sudden you hear from the top, hey, we're canceling this project. Like, that's got to be devastating as a game developer. So first of all, I feel sad for those people, but from what I'm reading behind the scenes, these guys knew the writing was on the wall. I heard specifically from people behind the scenes, they looked at the product and they knew it was not up to snuff. You know what I'm saying? And there's a saying, you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. And that's basically what it is, man. You start with a certain product, you get to a certain point in development. And I think these people know what's going on, and they knew it just wasn't up to snuff. And they knew they couldn't change it enough to make it what it needed to be up to that Walking Dead level, because when you're dealing with that kind of a name, you have a certain amount of respect that you need to put on, with your video game. And if it doesn't reach that level, then I'm sure the people that own The Walking Dead don't want some piece of shit game coming out and then having their name all over it, So that's the unfortunate side. And another thing that compounds this problem is the zombie genre is so stacked that you can't just put a product out there and expect it to do well. Video game players, gamers, they know this genre very well, and it needs to be something different. It can't just be the same old, or people aren't going to buy it. That's just the plain and simple of it. So I think it was just all those things combined, and they just said, hey, we're just going to scrap it, So
yeah, you know what? It makes sense. Listen, I'm not sure whether you know or anyone in the chat actually knows, but Robert Kirkman owns Skybound Entertainment, which was going to be the publisher of this game.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
yeah, so obviously he had a hand in the development or the development decisions of this game. And obviously he is The Walking Dead. It's his creation. He started with the comic. He's made it several series that are extremely popular on TV. And obviously he let the license go out to Telltale, which they did a great job with. And when this guy is looking over the work and saying that this is shit, then obviously, like you just said, he doesn't want to put out a product that's going to smear the name.
Yep.
So I actually, I'm saddened by the news, but I'm also, of an understanding as not just looking at through a gamer's point of view, but from a business point of view, the game was going to fail. It's a shame that we'll never see it, but at the same time, do you really want to play crap when there's so many good games to play?
Exactly.
But let's move on to topic number 3. I pulled this story from BusinessInsider.com, and it says that the Nintendo Switch is the fastest selling console in this current generation. That's right, folks. You heard that. In this current generation, with the near 50 million Xbox Ones and the probably over 100 million PS4s out in the market, the Switch is the fastest selling in this generation. This information comes to us from Kevin Webb, who's a gaming reporter, who says that Nintendo has been doing great in the past year. The Nintendo Switch is the fastest selling console of the current generation, and Nintendo has sold more games, get this, Salty, than any other publisher in 2018. 6 of the top 20 selling games in 2018 were actually Nintendo Switch exclusives, compared to Sony and Microsoft, who are trying to turn the PlayStation and Xbox into a large entertainment brand. Nintendo is focusing on making games more portable, accessible, and just plain fun on the Switch. Now, it also continues with, the sales will not slow down anytime soon. Salty, due to the release of Super Mario Maker 2, Zelda, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, which looks awesome, and it's a remake, of course, of the original Game Boy Classic, Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3, and Bayonetta 3, which are both exclusives for the Switch, coming out this year. On top of those, what I just said, you also have to factor in the Pokemon Sword and Shield that are slated to release towards the end of the year. My God, Nintendo does not seem to want to quit. Listen, I'm an old school G, okay? I had the original Nintendo. I got it for my birthday, my 15th birthday. I've been a Nintendo freak master ever since. And to see them come back after hanging on the ropes on their last leg with the Wii U, this blows me away. I know, Salty, you are a huge Switch fan. How excited are you by this story?
Man, just you reading off those games just reaffirms how big this year is going to be. I've been saying that 2019 was going to be the year of the Switch, and that's before analysts put it out there. I forgot who it was. I commented on their Twitter. It was one of the analysts out there, and he's like, "Oh, 2019, I predict." And I was like, "Dude, I beat you to it." And I was just joking around, but I think he got triggered a little bit. Anyway, if you look at the games lineup, that's just their first party offerings. It's insane, and then their exclusives. The list is crazy. Like Link's Awakening, that is insane, man.
Did you see what it looked like, though? I mean, they did side by side. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of a dream come true for some of us old guys, because I remember playing it on the Game Boy, and it's just, when you saw the trailer, it's just like, holy shit, this is like a dream come true, because you get to have that same experience, that top down look, but it's updated graphics, and there's rumors of multiplayer in there as well. So that's going to be huge for them. And like you said, Mario Maker, that's a game that I want to play, because I didn't have a Wii U, and I saw people having so much fun with that game. and the potential with that. So that's going to be big. And then Bayonetta 3, and then the list goes on and on. But the killer of all killers is the Pokemon game. And shout out to Jez Corden from Windows Central. He's a big Pokemon fan. He's hyped about this. This Sword and Shield situation is just going to be a repeat of Smash Brothers when it comes to sales wise. It is. It's just going to be insane. So they can count on that moving millions and millions of units. And this past 2018, Super Smash Brothers, what was it? It was released at the end of the month, and it was the top selling game of the year. And
yes,
crazy numbers.
And I think it was 7 or 12 days. They beat everything. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So, man, I want a little of what Nintendo has in their water. You know what I'm saying? They just it's a smart thing that Xbox is kind of rubbing elbows with them, because maybe they could learn a thing or two. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, they just, I've heard this from someone, I forgot who it was, but they're like, you can't even name the developers that make some of these games, right? You're like, who made Zelda Breath of the Wild? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But they put out an outstanding product and all this other stuff, and they just know how to do what they're good at, per se. They're not expanding out too far. They know what their product is. They know their audience, and they just make it work. It's awesome, dude. I'm looking forward to all these games, and it's just, like I said, these games are straight up gonna cost money, and then Xbox has all these. It's just, you better sell your kidney if you want to buy all these games. More of the story, right?
That, or get onto the side of the road and start collecting cans and bottles, man.
Right, yeah.
You know, as exciting as this is, and there's a couple of things you look at when you talk about Nintendo in 2019. First of all, great on them to show what's coming out, right? You're like excited. But what we don't know is what's going to be added that they're holding back for E3 as a surprise for this year. And it's just the potential for them to outsell and outpace everyone once again is right there. And why all of this information is new and exciting, Salty, they just celebrated their 2nd year anniversary, and the console is just selling out left and right. I mean, look, let me just say this. If you don't have a Switch and you've been waiting to get on board, 2019 may be the year, because they are offering something for everyone. For me, the most anticipated is Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3. It looks so good, and it's going to have 4-player multiplayer. I mean, come on, man. It's just crazy. But listen, let's move on to the next topic, because we have a shit ton to talk about. Look. Sony has officially stopped producing the PlayStation Vita. And you know what? This was already a foretold conclusion. Sony gave up on this amazing and outstanding handheld midway through its lifespan. You know what? To be honest with you, Salty, it's a damn shame. I've had numerous iterations of it. I upgraded every time the system came out with something new to add to it, because I love these Sony peripherals. I mean, I'm a big supporter of PlayStation VR. I know some people could care less, and that's fine. I get it. But, you know, the PlayStation, in the story that I pulled from comicbook.com, they're saying that the PlayStation Vita is officially done. Sony signaled that it has officially ended production on the handheld gaming console's last 2 models on the Vita's product page via Polygon. Now, if you know it or you don't, it launched in 2011. And the Vita, you know, it never really caught on with the world. And again, I don't understand why. It was a very powerful system. The screen was gorgeous. Maybe it was the control. Maybe, you know, having to use the touchpad in the back, you know, turn some people off. I hear you. But, you know, I have a question for you, Salty. With the success of the Nintendo Switch, is it unlikely Sony would ever jump back into the mobile market? And could this be one of the major reasons why they would never try again, because of how popular the Nintendo Switch is?
I don't see them getting back into the market, honestly. They tried, and Nintendo's the king of handhelds. You know,
yes, they are.
They just know what they're doing. So if they tried their hand at this, and they pulled support, unfortunately, pretty early. I know a lot of people that did have that product. They were very disappointed that it was canned. And I don't know. I just think it's very tough to go up against the king, you know, of any product, and to have success, you got to put your, you know, best foot forward, or you get left behind. And Nintendo's shown over and over and over that they know what they're doing when it comes to their handhelds, and that's that they move their products without even much effort, you know. So
yeah,
the way things are going with this cloud streaming and, you know, play anywhere, and, you know, the comments by Sean Layden, I doubt that they're going to try to do any more specific hardware when it comes to handhelds. But they might go into that cloud streaming like Microsoft is doing eventually, and then have that as their quote unquote handheld, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. And, you know, we see what's crazy about Sony is, again, taking nothing away from what they've done in this generation, we don't really, there's so many unknown factors. And, you know, obviously, if they ever were going to do the same thing as Microsoft and go mobile, you know, have a PlayStation app where, you know, you could play your PlayStation 4 or 5 games on the go, you know, a new Vita would just be outstanding. But would they do it? I don't know. It's just, I don't know if they would take a chance. So I agree with you. Real quick, I have to say a big thank you to the outstanding $2 super chat from Rain G4. He says the memory cards for the Vita were too expensive. And yes, they were ridiculously expensive, to the point of it actually boxed out some people. I mean, you know, I think originally when you bought a Vita, I think it came with a 4 gig card, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously some of these games, they took up half that. So it was not enough. And yes, they were super expensive. So thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the comment. But let's move on to the next topic. This one is ridiculous. Dead or Alive 6 releases, and I'm a big Dead or Alive fan. I have been since the OG Saturn days. You know what I'm saying? When no one knew what a Dead or Alive actually was. But this story isn't about Dead or Alive per se. What it is about is, does a company know how to address their fans when it comes to DLC? Because they have a season pass that is $100 salty. Not only is this ridiculous, that would be, in my opinion, an understatement. Team Ninja has released the first. That's the funny part. The first season pass for Dead or Alive 6, and it costs more than the game itself. Dead or Alive 6 released earlier last week at the retail price of $60, while its season pass, which went live almost immediately, launched at 93 USD, which is US dollars. And for that staggeringly high price point, you net yourself over 60 costumes for the roster of fighters that are included in Dead or Alive. Salty, look, here's the thing. I don't even know what we can say about this. I like Team Ninja. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk a little bit about it tomorrow. And obviously I'll talk about why we're going to talk about Team Ninja. But this is just missing the mark when it comes to your fan base and what your fans are willing to pay. Salty, how outrageous is $100 season pass that all it comes with is costumes?
Man, I mean, for myself, it sounds ridiculous. But obviously these guys think that there's some suckers out there, you know what I'm saying? The only way that they would put these price points on there is if they think that there's people out there that would actually pay for them, you know, or they're just kind of throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. But it's insane to me that people would consider it a good deal to spend over, you know, a certain amount of money for these products that are cosmetic. And I think that like I said before, it specifically goes down to the fact that the developers and the publishers think that they can put one up on their consumer base, or they think they're dumb, or I don't know, are gullible. Because it feels like they're just like, hey, let's make it this price or that price, and it's like the consumers will still eat it up. So why stop there? Let's keep raising the price, because the only way that they're going to stop doing that is if the consumers, you know, push back. They're going to say, hey, we're not going to buy your product. This is crazy. This is unacceptable, you know? So that's how we really got to get these things to change, is don't buy the ridiculous, you know, microtransactions or special editions that don't provide value. you know. So that's the real issue. The consumers that are paying into this are kind of messing it up for the people that don't think it's right, you know. So
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. You know, as a collector of many things, I'm very transparent about my gaming habits. I don't buy as much as I used to. Everyone thinks I do, thanks to Mooch, of course. But I do like collector's editions, and I do go out of my way, especially if I'm a fan of the game. I will get the collector's edition, and they range anywhere between $99 to as much as $300. What I find to be, again, ridiculous is that for $160, if you were to spend that, you're getting the game straight up digital if you bought a digital, and $100 worth of digital items, and that's it. No statue, no pillow, no bandana you can wear, nothing. And I look, like I said, I really enjoy Team Ninja. I mean, the company has changed over the years. It's not the same as it used to be. I don't know who's running it, but to offer $100 DLC season 1, by the way, I think that maybe the corporate part of that company is the one that's making these decisions, and it's a bad one. It sets a bad precedent for DLC, and I hope no one buys it. To be completely honest, stay away from that. It's not worth it. $100 is still $100, and that can net you a whole bunch of stuff. Certainly, you can find better ways to spend it than digital costumes that include a wedding outfit for your character. It's just ridiculous. But let's move on to the next one. And this one, it's awesome, and it's a bit of a head scratcher at the same time. The Avengers project, which we know it's been in development. And it's been in development for quite some time. Obviously, the team that did the reboot of the Tomb Raider, which obviously is the A team for that company, has been working on this for a while. But according to a story that I pulled from comicbook.com, the Avengers project may be skipping this generation altogether and may be released as a PlayStation 5 and next Xbox game. I'm disappointed because I'm a huge MCU fan, and I know you are. Thankfully, both of us have Nintendo Switches, and we have the Ultimate Alliance 3 to satisfy that Marvel fix that we want. But I was really looking forward to this game. And why the people, the good people at comicbook.com think that it's being delayed is that Crystal Dynamics had just posted new job listings for the unnamed Avengers project. And this is what it has to say. At the moment of publishing, Crystal Dynamics is currently hiring for a number of senior positions, including lead environmental artist, narrative director, lead software engineer, lead animator, and multiple lead producers. So if this game was close, these titles would have been filled already. Interestingly enough, one of the listings is for an external lead producer, which makes note of some integral tidbits. For one, Salty, the listing notes the position will work with external partners to build a next-gen game release. So that's really what I think what stands out for me. And it goes on to say the lead producer will have to demonstrate experience working with external partners to build a next-gen console and PC title. The individual will have an outstanding communication skills and proven track record in development and production. The successful candidate will work directly with the studio leadership and hold accountability for staying in budget while delivering premium quality on project milestones. Salty, I again, this sounds like when I read all of this, I was a bit taken aback simply because I thought this game was like heavily into development. But when you read this, it sounds like they're just making the announcement for it. What are your takeaways, from this, I guess possible delay to make a bigger and more spectacular Marvel game? Are you disappointed?
I'm not disappointed because the property is so important when it comes to the MCU, like the Avengers project. Even the name, like the project, it sounds like a huge undertaking, you know. And then you saw some of the designs when they announced the game. They had like Captain America's shield and some like sparks coming down and stuff like that. I've been asking for these game companies to step it up when it comes to their superhero games. We've seen, you know, with Spider-Man, they stepped it up, and that sold like hotcakes, you know.
Right.
So in the video game market, they need to provide good quality content, and there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do this, because there's so many good stories out there, especially with Marvel. Like, you could just pick the character and the stories and put it together, especially when you have this property, the Avengers project. It's so, I don't know, vast. You have so many good characters that you can put in there. So I could definitely see why they would want to take their time with it, especially with the popularity of the franchise. You spend more time on it and get it right instead of putting it out when it's unfinished or unpolished. But when you see that the producer that they're hiring, like a, you know, a producer and stuff, that's a pretty big hire. It's not some small, you know, developer to kind of polish things up. So it kind of makes sense for them to kind of wait on it. And then especially if next gen's launching 2020, make it a launch title.
Yes, great point.
You know, it's going to look better specifically on the next gen, you know, consoles and graphics and stuff like that, and just kind of hit the ground running. You're also going to have to kind of compete with some of the launch titles for these consoles and systems, depending on when you release it. If you're releasing it in the fall or whatever, more than likely it will be a fall release. You're going to have to compete with some of these bigger titles when it comes to console exclusives. So they're going to have to kind of figure it out for themselves. But I think delays in general are good for video games. It's not a bad thing unless it's like developmental hell. You know, if the project's going down the toilet, then that's a problem. But if they're waiting to put more polish on it, then that's good. Like, for example, Days Gone, for example, they delayed that and they put polish on it, and we're hearing good things, right? But if they would have released it when they originally planned to, it probably would have got slammed, right? It wasn't working properly.
Was, for sure.
Yeah. So I think it's good, man. I'm excited. I can't wait to see what they have cooking, because I'm a big fan of Square Enix and the way they do things. I really love the new Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That's good. Kingdom Hearts 3 is looking good. I haven't played it yet, but yeah, they do good. They do good work. I just want to see more. Boom. I want to see more superhero video games that are.
Well, you know what?
Well,
first of all, you're absolutely right. The world needs more superhero games. The MCU is more prominent now than it's ever been, simply because of the film genre. Which obviously, you know, if you haven't been paying attention, Captain Marvel is selling big overseas. It comes out this Friday. I'm going to see it with my brother on Monday morning, because I'm obviously I'm a huge Marvel fan, but I like Captain Marvel. I think it's going to be a great flick. But you're right, Salty. Unfortunately, we've grown up with video games for all our lives, and we've seen some pretty terrible Marvel games. And I'm actually with you. I'm glad it's delayed, because I want them to get it right. I want it to come out. I want it to be, an 85 plus Metacritic. I want it to be one of those games that are going to be talked about as a game of the year contender. And if they have to put another year or two worth of polish to make it right, then so be it. It's not like we're struggling to play games. I mean, there's so much out already in 2019. If we have to wait till 2020, that's fine. But you know what? So let's move on to the next topic. And this is a good one. Cyberpunk 2077 will be and has been confirmed by Project CD Red at E3. And Salty, this is huge for so many reasons. First of all, as we know, Microsoft has the marketing rights to Cyberpunk 2077. But what's more exciting is that we'll actually get a chance to see gameplay outside of the 48-minute demo that was released late last year. And who knows, on stage at Microsoft's big E3 show, we could actually get a release date. Now, Salty, as I know that you're a big CD Projekt Red fan. Obviously, they have a very, very loyal fan base. My question to you is, how excited are you to see Cyberpunk 2077 in action, and are you even more excited to finally get a release date of the game?
It's going to be big, man. They were there, what, last E3, and the way that they did their kind of visuals on the stage at Microsoft was cool. It was
Yes.
the last showing, I believe, and they kind of make it look like it was getting hacked into or whatever. That was cool. Everybody was hyped and pumped to see just the trailer that they got, and then we got that gameplay. What was it? Like
48
minute
minutes.
video,
48 minutes, yeah.
or something like that. I just recently rewatched that, and it is crazy. Like some of the stuff that they're doing in that game, and they said it was alpha footage, and some of the stuff probably won't be there or might change or whatever. But like what I've always said that I want to see in my video games, that what gets me hyped is seeing stuff done that I haven't seen done in any other video games. And some of the things that they had, the components of the gameplay, I haven't seen done in video games. Just some of that, like hacking other, like, what was it? She pulled out some like cord thing and hacked into this dude's brain, and you're able to see the network and just how fluid the open world is and stuff like that. So yeah, CD Projekt Red, they're just one of the best in the industry. And I think they showed a graphic of the Witcher, like Ciri. She was in Cyberpunk. There's rumors of that, right? She's gonna be in there. I don't know if how much or whatever. That's cool as fuck, though. Honestly, like to have her in there because she can teleport and stuff like that. And dang, dude. This is going to be crazy. I doubt, like, I'm highly skeptical that this is going to drop in 2019. I think this is going to be another 2020 release. Like, it's crazy. If you remember back to the beginning of this generation, 2013, there wasn't any games to play, man. There's like big old gaps of nothingness. You know what I'm saying? Like huge amounts of non-content where you're like, man, I don't know what to play. I don't have anything to play. That's not the case anymore. Even with them delaying projects or whatever, you always have games coming out. Look at March, you know, we have Sekiro, we have Devil May Cry, everything. Like March before, it was like nothing was coming out. Now it's lots of games. So if this is pushed into 2020, just imagine the games that are dropping in 2020. It's going to be nuts. You know what I'm saying? So like, you have potential of The Last of Us 2, Halo Infinite, Cyberpunk. The list goes on and on of the titles, the huge titles that we could be seeing. And that just makes me more hyped for next gen and the potential of 2020. So it's going to be good.
Listen, I got news for you. You know what? You know, you were saying something about, you know, maybe coming out in, you know, the first part of 2020. I actually have zero problems with that. You know, obviously, you know, January, February, and March has notoriously in past generations, like you said, been barren.
Yep.
Like we you know, you got a couple of games. I think, you know, I don't know who's responsible for it, but I'm going to say that Capcom played a big part of making Q1 cool again with the release of Resident Evil 7 in early 2017. And then obviously, you know, you saw how many people were starving for games because, again, you know, you're coming off the holiday. December is usually extremely light. You know, you go from, you know, September, October, November heavy, December completely dead because everyone's, you know, on holiday or vacation. And now we're seeing that, you know, January was another one of those months that was very rarely anything came out. And now we're starting to see an explosion on the scene. So, I mean, could you imagine to start off 2020 with, you know, with Cyberpunk 2077? I mean, I'm all good for that. But I'm extremely excited for this game, Salty. I know you are because you're such a big Witcher fan. So this it has, you know, futuristic and what we've seen matched with the developer that put The Witcher together for you, I'm assuming is a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, it's a huge win for Microsoft. Gotham guy in the chat said, you know, early 2020 launch is a huge marketing strategy for Microsoft. I mean, yeah, look at that. I would just put it out there right now that it potentially a game of the year 2020. You know, mark it down.
Absolutely,
you know?
yeah.
So.
Yeah.
You have the marketing rights for that. They got to go full all out with that, with the next gen console with Microsoft. Have a custom console. Get out of this shit where you don't have custom consoles. Get a Cyberpunk 2077 custom console. Can you imagine what you could do with that? Like,
oh my God,
the graphics you could put on there. Shout out to Xbox Pope, man. Put him on the job.
Yes, that's right. Let the Pope in the building. That's royalty.
Yep.
Well, listen, dude, we're both excited. I think everybody in the chat is going crazy with this particular topic, so that's good. I'm glad it's a winning topic for everybody. I'm excited. You're excited. The chat's excited. But let's move on to the next topic. How far in development is Blizzard Entertainment with Diablo 4? Well, a new story from TechRadar.com suggests they are offering a theory to Blizzard's next big installment in the long-running franchise. Obviously, according to the story, it's never long before the land of Sanctuary is overrun by the forces of darkness, giving us all a reason to swing our swords, cast our spells in the new Diablo AR RPG, Dungeon Crawler. And of course, this is the story. The story continues with, I didn't even realize this, Salty. It's been close to 7 years since the initial release of Diablo 3. So I mean, are we crazy to suggest that it's only a matter of time before we get Diablo 4? Well, you know what? I have a few quotes from Blizzard concerning Diablo 4. And if you were on the fence, if you're a fan, whether you guys know it or not, MrBooMStick is a huge Diablo fan. We would sit in front of the TV for hours on end, and instead of binge watching something on Netflix, we would play this game 5, 6, 7 hours. Get up, go to the bathroom, make some dinner, and then come back for another 3. She loves those over the top, dungeon crawlers. If you're an old school cat, me and her played while we were dating Champions of Norath 1 and 2, Boldar's Gate 1 and 2 on the PlayStation 2. So obviously she's excited for Diablo 4 as well as I am. But here are some of the quotes from Blizzard. The forges here at Blizzard are burning hot, and we have multiple Diablo projects in the works. Some of them are going to take a little longer than others, stated Camel, who's one of the developers. Here's the other quote I found very interesting, Salty, and I want to get your take on both of the next quotes. But we may have some things to show you later this year, talking about 2019. We hope you stay tuned while we work to bring these Diablo experiences to life. None of this would be possible without the support you've shown us over the last 20 years. And finally, they say, so whether it's your first Diablo or where you joined us for Diablo 3, or you're a seasoned veteran, thank you. Diablo is and always will be a part of Blizzard's identity, and we can't wait for the future. Now, here's my question to you, Salty. First of all, we know Blizzard has been on the ropes, and for good reason. Obviously, they unfortunately are owned by their partnership with Activision. We know how Activision is. We know exactly, they're the corporate scumbags that we know and don't cheer for when you say the word Activision. Like, you start to go boo, right? Well, I still would like to believe, as a fan of Blizzard, there's some remnants of the soul left in that husk. In your opinion, how important is it for them to get a Diablo 4 out and it be good?
Man, Blizzard fans are kind of fed up at this point.
Of course they are. Yes.
It's rough because I think a lot of them are just at the point where they just are kind of, they don't believe it's going to happen. It's been so long that the Diablo 3's been out. I bought it on the 360 a couple of times, then I bought it on the Xbox One, and then I bought it again, and then it's on the Switch, and I'll probably buy it on there.
I bought it on the Switch. It's awesome, dude. You get to use Ganondorf. Ganondorf, rather.
Ganondorf. Dude, I'm gonna buy it, and I saw it on sale as well. So how many times have I bought it? Just specifically myself. So they're making money on 3, and they're kind of resting on their laurels. Plus, they're trying to push this whole this whole Diablo on mobile situation.
Yeah,
So all you put all those together, and it just doesn't seem like Diablo 4 was that much of a priority for them. And I know what they're saying. They're coming out and saying, hey, it's, you know, it's very important to us, but obviously you have these other projects which, you know, other developers are working on it. It's not like everybody's working on, you know, the mobile side or this and that. But I just honestly don't think it's kind of a I believe it when I see it kind of situation.
I agree.
With Diablo 4, because it's kind of like Borderlands, the newest Borderlands 3. I'll believe it when I see it, because everybody's talking about packs. It's going to be this and that. It's just like, to a certain point, you're just like, man, until I get factual information from the publisher or the developer that they are going to show us some footage in the game specifically coming out, you just kind of just got to forget about it. You know, it's just like, if it comes out, it comes out. Because at this point, I don't know, man. I think it's a very far off until we see Diablo 4. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing, Salty. Obviously, BlizzCon 2018 was a disaster for the company. They closed out the show with the mobile, and when they took questions, you obviously saw that, guys, is this some sort of like a delayed April Fool's joke? And people are serious. Like, you know, I've never seen anyone close a show with a mobile game. But it just goes to show you that maybe the people in charge at Blizzard just really don't know their fan base. They are a corporate related mentality. And unfortunately, I hope that someone who's a gamer over there steps up and takes charge, because their stock has been tanking. And obviously, you know, the Activision Blizzard stock, it's together. You know, it dropped 7 points with the split of Bungie, and it dropped a few points after that and has not gone up. So if they, if BlizzCon 2019 comes and they shit the bed again, this company could be in trouble. And that in itself is a disgrace. I mean, if you think back to some old school companies, Blizzard is supposed to be one of the, you know, big old school cats. And, you know, I don't know, man, ever since they got in bed with Activision, it just hasn't been the same. And that's like anything. Activision and EA notoriously just ruin other companies. But you know what? You know, again, what else could we say? Diablo 4 has to come out, and it has to be good. End of story. Let's hope that's sooner than later. And I have topic number 9 is one I think you're really going to dig, because you're a big Star Wars fan, and so am I.
Yes.
The writer of Knights of the Old Republic 2, which was an incredible story, just finished the work on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and that has me super stoked. And it probably has you stoked as well, Salty, because guess what? That means that the Jedi Fallen Order is closer to release, and hopefully we'll get it by year end. And I'm going to read the story. Again, I pulled this from comicbook.com. As you can tell, one of my favorite sites to get news from. Game designer and writer Chris Avellone has announced that he's finished work on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and he's also working on a secret project that may be announced early next month. And now, again, if you don't know, Avellone is known as the writer behind several story-driven video games, including one of the most popular Star Wars titles ever made, Knights of the Old Republic 2: The Sith Lords. His more recent works include Divinity, Original Sin 2, Prey, Into the Breach, the first of which made our top 10 games of 2017. Avellone was also on the writing team at Obsidian for Fallout New Vegas, which, again, one of the best Fallouts in the series, depending on who you ask, of course. Other than the Jedi Fallen Order, his secret unannounced project, Avalon's future work is also including finishing up the story for Dying Light 2. I mean, this guy is obviously salty. He is involved in a lot of big games because of his talent. Now, he took to Twitter, and this is what he had to say. I can't say 100% because of NDAs, but the one I can say is this. I just finished up work with Jedi Fallen Order, and beyond that, there's nothing big bomb dropping He goes, there's another big bomb dropping in a month, I mean, maybe, So obviously he was being a little coy there. Now, as we know, Salty, Jedi Fallen Order is being made by Respawn, the developer behind the first-person shooter, Titanfall 2. Now, look, let me just say this, Salty, and I think you agree. The single-player campaign in Titanfall 2 may be the best single-player campaign in this generation. It was amazing from start to finish. But I have a question for you, Salty. Both of us are huge Star Wars fans, and I already have faith that the single-player title from Respawn is going to be great. But when you hear, as a Star Wars fan, that the main writer of Knights of the Old Republic 2 was involved in the story and just finished up work, how excited are you now before, a couple of days ago before you knew this information?
Well, hearing this, it drops gasoline on the fire. It's good to hear that this guy is working on the project. I'm excited about the story itself, just when it takes place. It's a Jedi that, survived Order 66. If you guys don't know, that's when Emperor Palpatine said, put out the order to kill all the Jedi, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
So you had a lot of, I don't know if it's a lot, but there's a few Jedi that survived that. And then they had to go into hiding, So there's a lot more that survived than just Obi-Wan and Yoda and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see that story be told. And I think a lot of interesting things could happen from that, because you have Darth Vader. He was the Jedi killer, and then he has people that go out and hunt Jedi for him as well. And that whole scenario is interesting to me. And it's not something that we've seen a lot of. They've had some cartoons and some other comics and stuff like that, but with the new order, with Disney in there, and the new the stories that they want to tell, this should be interesting. And I have full faith in the developer, because like you said, Titanfall 2, the campaign was outstanding,
Yeah.
So man, I hope they hit this out of the park, because let's be honest, we need it as Star Wars fans and as gamers. Because what have we gotten in the last 10 years? We've gotten 2 subpar Battlefront games. I mean, the campaign in the last Battlefront 2 game was okay. It was a little short. It was short, and it was pretty decent. It was cool to see Luke Skywalker in there doing some stuff with like Sith temples and artifacts and stuff like that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm super excited for it. I hope it comes out this year, because I just want to play a Star Wars game. So let's do it. Well,
I mean, listen, my next question to you, Salty, is this. Obviously, this is a single player game, and I'm okay with that. Obviously, I'm a selfish gamer. I enjoy single player campaigns. Of course, I enjoy multiplayer games. There are plenty of them that I've played with many people in the community, as well as you. But I really love a strong story narrative that you don't have to have someone on a headphone screaming into your ear, "Run to the right, you idiot." You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I'm looking forward to this game. But in your opinion, if you get a solid 15 to 18 hour original Star Wars story, would you be okay with a $60 price tag, especially if it's done in the manner what we saw Respawn do with a Titanfall 2 single player campaign?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't put it in clearer words. I just want a good narrative, because that's the most important thing for me when it comes to Star Wars, is just getting more material to partake of, in this universe, because everything that they're putting out is canon, and if you guys don't know what that means, it's the word, it fits into their universe. Like whatever's written, it has to be approved by Disney, and it has to fit into their universe. So this video game is going to fit into the timeline, So you had all the prequel movies, then you had Order 66, and then you have this stuff happening, and then you have the cartoons where you have like Star Wars Rebels and stuff like that happens, and then you have Rogue One and all that other stuff. So you could literally like get a timeline out and kind of slot these things in, these events that happen in the Star Wars universe, and that's why it's cool. So So as long as I'm getting a story that's compelling and something that I can enjoy, hell yeah, I'll buy this game because I'm a Star Wars fanboy.
Yeah, me
But
too.
a lot of these single player games, if they're done right, they sell well, you know. So that theory that single player games don't sell well, that's just got debunked over and over. Look at
Yes,
Red Dead,
especially in 2018
you know.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just look at God of War and, you know, Spider-Man and some other games. So it's going to be good. I'm not going to temper my expectations. I think someone in the chat said to do that. I need to hope, you know, have hope for something good for Star Wars. So I'm gonna be excited and hopefully I don't get let down, honestly.
So. Philly Eagle in the chat says
Disney's evil.
Disney is evil.
I agree. I agree, but
that's great. I love it. Well, listen, evil or not, I'm a big fanboy. I love Star Wars, and yes, I'm confirming live on the air. I saw the original 77 film version in the theaters. Yes, I was 7 years old. My mom and dad took me with my brother. I'll never forget it. It was amazing. But look, you know what? Keeping with Respawn Entertainment, and I know this is I knew obviously we're partners in this, so I sometimes try to add stories, Salty, that I know that you're gonna have like a passionate explosion for. Apex Legends has officially surpassed, get this, folks, 50 million players in a quarter of the time it took Fortnite. And even though Fortnite isn't going anywhere, Respawn is definitely giving Epic a run for its money with Apex Legends. And according to the story, which again I pulled from combook.com, another week, another victory lap for Respawn Entertainment. In a month since Apex Legends launch, the game's audience has grown by leaps and bounds, and the title has no signs of slowing down. Salty, first of all, I have to talk about Vince Zampella. He's one of my favorite developers. He's always on Twitter. He's always out there talking to the fans. He had this to say: thank you to the 50 million players that have shown up in the first month since Apex Legends launched. You have all made this something special, and there's much more to come. Salty, how amazing is it to see the OGs, if you will, of the great Call of Duty games and outstanding Titanfall series make a splash in the Battle Royale market and do it in a way where they walked up to Fortnite, turned around, kicked sand in its face, and kept it moving.
It's really good. Shout out to Vince, man. He deserves it. They kind of went their ways, and then Call of Duty kind of dropped in quality, in my opinion. So they know what they're doing when it comes to first-person shooters, and it's unfortunate that Titanfall 2 specifically didn't get the reception that it should have, because it was a really good game. They had some issues with the multiplayer, going from 1, because the multiplayer in 1 was really good, and it had a crappy campaign, if you even want to call it that. The campaign in 1 was just kind of a multiplayer situation with some kind of story elements on there, not too much to be said there. Then they come out with that outstanding Titanfall 2 campaign, rectify the problems for 1, and then they screw up the multiplayer a little bit. Like, it wasn't the gunplay or anything that was the problem. It was kind of the AI and the game modes and stuff like that. So it wasn't too well received. Plus, it was the release date that EA kind of screwed them over. Yeah. So they were in trouble, honestly. It's like, EA's not too patient with their developers.
Nope.
So even if, they acquired them recently, it doesn't mean that they have unlimited potentials to not produce for EA. They need to produce. So this is huge. I'm sure EA's popping bottles at this point because this game has potential to just be a juggernaut for a long time. And then you could tell how big it is because Epic immediately started copying them. They copied him in one of their character skins. It looks like the medic from Apex Legends.
It's gross. It's gross.
And then the ping system, they're copying that as well. So Epic, and then plus Season 8, the Battle Pass, they're offering that for free. So you could tell that this got to Epic a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like it ruffled their feathers because they're kind of scrambling to keep relevance, to keep their title and their mark in the game. And it's important to them because they're making billions of dollars off of it, you know, so they don't want to lose their spot. So it's like a battle between these two games right now to see who comes out on top. I think they can coexist in the battle royale genre because they're kind of different, you know. But it should be interesting going forward because I think that there's going to be a lot of copycats that come out in the battle royale genre, especially when it comes to like the hero situation. Like you have different characters like Overwatch, so you're gonna have copycats come out. The ping system is going to be copied. All this stuff is going to be done over, and it should be interesting to see who tries to do that, you know. So it's good. It's crazy.
You know, I do want to add something to you. You know, you talk about the copying thing. You know, also Fortnite copied the respawning stations with the respawning vans that are going to be added. Which look, I mean, this really wasn't a part of the topic, but I wanted to talk about that. You know, does it make Epic look weak to do all of the copying? I mean, everything that they have done for Fortnite outside of the building is copy and paste. And I'm wondering, you know, how long is it going to be before someone actually tries to sue them? I mean, I understand it's a mode, but my God. So
do you, real quick, and you can get to the super chat, do you remember when PUBG launched and then they were doing their thing and then Fortnite pretty much copied what they were doing?
Yes.
And then I think PUBG, the creators they tried to sue them or wanted to sue them. I think that Epic had no shame to copying shit. You know what I'm saying? So there's certain developers like High Res, for example, they love to copy things, and it's almost like copy paste, and we'll change it a little bit. So I think they have no shame to their game. So we'll see if there's any kind of legal things going on. So.
Well, listen, it's gross nonetheless. Real quick, Scrub Nurse with the outstanding $5 super chat. They say, I hope Respawn uses all of this money and hype that they're getting to make Titanfall 3. Love the show, guys. Keep up the great work. Well, first of all, thank you that you enjoy the show. And thank you for the outstanding super chat. We did a story on this on the Xbox Factor podcast, and I'm almost positive that all of this success is going to lead to a Titanfall 3. It should be, it should be something that they want to do simply because there was it ended on a massive cliffhanger, and there's so much story in that world to tell. But I mean, Apex Legends is a perfect example of that. It's in the universe. So let's hope you're absolutely right. Let's move on to a topic that's it's going to be a little salty. Mm-hmm. We're hearing rumors now that a Fallout 3 remaster is going to be coming out. And the real question that I have, Salty, for you is does the gamers at large really want it? And look, I put 300 hours into the original Fallout 3 on the Xbox 360 and loved it. I really did. But this to me is I don't know if it's bad timing. I don't know if it's because I still have a bad taste in my mouth from Fallout 76. I don't know if I'm just over Fallout altogether. But if they're going to, put a Fallout remaster of 3, my other question to you, Salty, is this a cash grab from Bethesda? Or is it a way to tide over fans until they could figure out the next engine?
They should call it Fallout 3 cash grab. They should, honestly, or out of touch, So Bethesda just seems like they're missing the mark a lot. If I was them, man, I wouldn't think about dropping this because of all the bad publicity that's connected to Fallout 76. And it's just like, you guys just had all that bad PR. Like, why are you going to compound it with dropping a remaster of a game? It has that Fallout name. People are tired of this. Like, they don't want to hear about Fallout anymore. Yeah. It's a subject that people are just kind of tired of. I don't know why people would want to, get Fallout 3 right now at this point. I know there's a lot of nostalgia that goes around, so they'll sell they'll sell some copies based off of that. But I think they just need to put this franchise to rest for a little bit, you know, keep it out of the public's mind's eye. And I know they're not going to do that because they kind of they need to make money off of Fallout 76, and they're going to try to recover what they can from that. I don't know if it's possible, but they're going to try to, you know, pull a No Man's Sky and go back to the drawing board and fix the problems and hope that they can get their player base back up or get it up in general. But I just think they need to go away for a while with this title, you know?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think they've gone to the well one too many times, you know, with Fallout. 4 was good, but it was just good. Fallout 76, disastrous. You know, I got to be honest with you. You know, listen, I see people in the chat saying Fallout 3 was the best of the series. No doubt about it. I am going to say that Fallout New Vegas really gave it a run for its money, and would love to see that game remastered before 3. But at the same time, I agree with you. I don't necessarily think that the market is good enough at this point, with all the bad PR for Fallout 76, for them to actually be asking fans to repurchase an older game, even if it has higher res graphics. It doesn't matter. Before I get to the next topic, real quick, Rumble Foreskin with the outstanding $5 super chat. He said, I heard it here first. Microsoft Nintendo deal is Game Pass to Switch. Miyamoto is now a part of the initiative. That's awesome. You know, if that happened, guess what? The internet would break. But you know what? Miyamoto, his next stop is retirement. The guy's been doing this a long time. Let's hope that his health remains, he can enjoy, because I love that man. He's a great, great person, and he's an incredible developer. But you know what? Let's move on to the next topic, Salty. Oscar Isaac wants to play Snake in the Metal Gear Solid movie, says the director of he said, you know, that's directing the film. The ball's in Oscar's court. The Metal Gear Solid movie has been given the green light, and even though 50% of me is excited, the other 50% of me is slightly nervous. As we all know, Salty, video game movies very rarely live up or turn out to be good. It's in some cases barely passable. But the Star Wars actor and Metal Gear Solid film director seem to have a mutual interest in working together on the upcoming project. We've known for a while now that the Metal Gear Solid movie is in the works and is being directed by Kong Skull Island's director, Jordan Vogt Roberts. As of now, the film is currently in pre-production stages, with the initial script being said to have been finished last summer. Assuming all continues to go as planned, once the script is finalized, the film would enter the next stages, which would include casting and putting together the production crew to actually make the film. Ahead of that phase, though, one of the high-profile actors has now thrown his name into the ring as someone who would be interested in playing the role of Solid Snake. Speaking to IGN during a press event for his upcoming film, Triple Frontier, Oscar Isaacs, likely best known for his role as Poe Dameron in the Star Wars trilogy, the new one anyway, said he'd be interested in joining the cast of Metal Gear Solid. You know, so let me ask you, first of all, are you excited that we're going to see a film adaptation of Metal Gear? I mean, it would make a great film if done correctly, but Oscar Isaac's a great actor, and I can actually see him pulling off Solid Snake. What is your take on this, dude?
It's tough because so many video game movies have been asked, so hopefully they could get it right with this one. But I think it would be a good adaptation, a good fit for a movie if you just look at the way the story goes. And when it comes to Oscar Isaac, I like his pedigree as an actor. He's actually a really good actor. He played Apocalypse in X-Men. His makeup was horrible, but he did a good job with that.
Yeah, he did a great job. Well, you know what it is? It wasn't his fault. He's just the actor.
Yeah, they made him look like Ivan Ooze, but Man, they should have done mocap or something with that. But yeah, the Star Wars movies, he did really well. He was supposed to actually die in the first movie.
He
I don't know if you
was,
guys
yeah,
knew
they
that. So
changed it because he
he
was such
did
a
so
popular
well.
character.
He did so well that J.J. Abrams decided to make his role expand, and he has actually had a pretty big role in the second movie, and then the third one, I'm sure, will be just as big, if not bigger. And then Ex Machina was actually a good movie by him. I don't know if a lot of people have seen it. It's kind of a lower budget movie, but definitely go check that out. But I think he would do a good job, and plus he wants the role. I mean, why not give it to someone that actually wants to do it, or has I don't know what his history is with video games. I don't know if he's a gamer. I don't know if he knows the video game itself, but I guess, I mean, why not? You know what I'm saying? He looks the part.
To take, first of all, he's a very serious actor. He takes his work really serious. So if he's throwing his name in his hat in the ring, so to speak, I'm sure he knows who Solid Snake is.
Because, like, if Dave Bautista, for example, for Marcus Phoenix, he looks the part. He is passionate about the role and stuff like that. I think that he has a background with that character. But
Correct.
as far as this
one,
I don't know what his background is. I don't know if he likes video games or whatever. So I think he'd do good, though. You know.
I think he'd be great. He's, like I said, he's a fantastic actor. It's just the script has to be right. It just has to be done. And you know what? I don't know how many people in the chat or you even saw it, but Kong Skull Island was amazing. Great visuals, fantastic story. Bringing King Kong back into current gen format was amazing. So if he can put out a solid Metal Gear Solid movie of that caliber, I'm all in. Sign me up. I'll buy the tickets right now. But you know what? Let's move on to the next topic. And this is another one I think you're going to dig. CD Projekt Red's former Witcher 3 game director has been promoted to the Cyberpunk 2077 design team as the director. And this is exciting, but I mean, does the late hire, Salty, spell trouble for a title that was expected in 2019? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he was signed on late to do the DLC. I mean, we don't know. The story does not say it. But what the story does say is CD Projekt Red's former game director of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Cornard Quincy or something like that. I'm going to butcher names. So I'm going to say Cornard T. Has recently been promoted to design director of the upcoming Cyberpunk 2077. Apart from his new role as the design director, he also got promoted to vice president of game development at CD Projekt Red as of February 2019. Salty, it's fair. I think it's fair to say that the gaming public wants a new Witcher title, no doubt. But the next best thing that the people will absolutely fall over themselves, we both will anyway, is Cyberpunk 2077. Do you think that it's a 2019 release, or do you think that this guy being added so late in the development that we'll get it early 2020? And I think we answered that earlier.
Yeah, it's 2020, but the more people they can get over from the Witcher series, the better, like, why not? Like, the proof's in the pudding over there. They know what they're doing. And you just bring them all on over, you know what I'm saying? Like, get them on there and get them working. And like I said, this kind of just points at a 2020 release. I'm sure they'll have a lot to show off at E3. Yes. But I'm all for it, man. And it's unfortunate. I don't know what they're going to do with the whole Witcher series. I know Geralt's story's done, but you have Ciri out there and you have some other things going on. So they're doing this Netflix series.
Yeah.
I want to see more I don't know what they're going to do, but that game is so amazing. Like, it's genre defining.
Yes, for sure. Would you consider The Witcher 3 game of the generation?
Yeah, I think it's definitely top 3, honestly. You could go back and forth. There's a lot of contenders out there, but I would have to put. That's actually a good video. I might do that, but it's damn. I think it's so crazy the way that they approach that game. Like I said, genre defining when it comes to open worlds, video games. That just push the limits. So I don't know. I want to see them make more games. I don't want them to stop. You know, do you think they'll make more Witcher games? I don't know. There's more stories to be told.
I think they have to, simply because like you said, there are so many stories they can tell. The one thing I'm going to say about CD Projekt Red is that they don't let their talent go. Because they're always looking at the next project. And as we know, the DLC for The Witcher 3, both of them were, like you said, genre-defining DLC. And from what I understand, this guy was a big part of that. So maybe they're bringing him in to help out with, whatever the touch-ups they have to do with Cyberpunk. But maybe he's going to be more involved in what DLC comes to Cyberpunk 2077. It's all speculation, folks. So run wild with it. But I'm excited. Like I said, I agree with Salty. He's a veteran. The more talent they bring over from The Witcher 3 to Cyberpunk 2077, the better. You know what? Listen, what else could we say? We're both excited. I think everybody in the chat's excited. But I want to move on to the next topic because we are at topic 14 already. Xbox One versus PlayStation 4 when it comes to PS Plus versus games with gold. And obviously, as we know, this month Sony is now only giving away 2 games as opposed to Microsoft's 4 games. March marks the change for Sony's PlayStation Plus service. Instead of giving away the 4 games spanning the PS4, PS3, and PS Vita, which is dead, Sony is now only giving away 2 games. Now we know that Microsoft is giving twice as many games away, 2 for the Xbox One, 1 which is an Xbox 360, and I think this is really cool, 1 for the OG Xbox. Again, we did every month for years. Everyone in the community, especially the content creators like you and me, will do a story and say who had the better month, who won, who got the most, the most bang for their buck. And Sony gave away some really good titles this month with the Call of Duty remaster. That's a big title. But at the same time, Salty, in your opinion, do you think that this is going to be a part of the console war nonsense that goes on? Obviously, I don't have PS Plus anymore. I stopped. I don't play online. It was a completely waste of time, and the games they were giving away just were not worth my $60 a year. If I see it for $30, I may re-up. But as obviously for Microsoft, that's where I play my games online. So I'm always going to pay Xbox Live Gold. In your opinion, Salty, do you think that this is good for Microsoft more so than good for Sony?
I think you could look at it from both perspectives. Honestly, it's like you have the argument of quality versus quantity per se. This subject is so subjective. It's hard to get an honest take from it. Like if you ask one person, hey, is this game good? That person might say yes. The other person might say, hey, it's trash. So when you have these offerings, Xbox will put out more games, 4 games, but they all could be trash in some people's opinions. The thing is like I've put my perspective out there where I felt like some of the offerings for a lot of the months in the past for Xbox have been subpar. Terrible. So I wanted them to actually cut a couple of them out because they were kind of reusing some of the 360 titles. It was before they started putting Xbox original titles in there. And I was like, hey, if you put less in there and it's better quality, I'm all for that. I'd rather have higher quality titles instead of give me 4, and then 4 subpar titles. So last month for PlayStation or this month, the offerings looks pretty good. So the fewer titles and the better quality, I'm okay with that. But if you cut the amount and then lower the quality still, that's not good, So you got to find a balance there. And
You
it's
know what? I actually want to just stop you for a second, 'cause I have a question for you.
yeah.
Does Sony only putting out 2 games per month put pressure on them to make sure they're good games?
They have to, man. There's already blowback for people that said, "Hey, this is anti-consumer by you cutting the amount of games you're giving out." So if they don't hit the mark with these titles, people are going to be questioning them, and just the fact that this is anti-consumer. Because if you're lowering the amount of games you give out and they're lower quality, the people aren't going to be putting up with it, you know. So.
Yeah, all right. Well, listen, I mean, look, what could you say? Again, one man's gold is someone else's trash, and someone else's
True.
trash is someone else's treasure, right? I mean, I think that okay, like for instance, the Xbox games, Xbox One games, they're okay. Plants vs Zombie 2, fantastic, especially if you have kids, great game.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other one, I've never played it. I heard it's like an kind of like an old school RPG-ish cell shaded game. I'll give it a shot. I downloaded it, but the excitement for me personally for Xbox Games with Gold is Metal Gear Rising. Now I'm going to say this: it is one of the most incredible games you never played in the 360 era. Absolutely fantastic, action-based, slicing arms, heads, limbs flying all over the place. If you like the character Raiden, if you like the ninja part of him, you're going to love this. Big boss battles. Over the top story, but it was really just an action fest from start to finish. I highly recommend that game. And obviously, this is the next big one. And I think it's even bigger. Star Wars Republic Commando. I'm going to say this right now. One of the best Star Wars stories you never heard of. It was with the Clone Wars. It was about 4 brothers. Obviously, they were all clones. And it is a first-person action romp like no other. I don't know if it's getting any 4K enhancements. It probably is. But if you have never played it, I highly recommend getting out there and playing Republic Commando. It was a phenomenal Star Wars story.
Yep.
But Salty, let's move on to the next one. And this is actually another one, another Sony story that's not a surprise. Death Stranding hits another delay snag. And in truth, Salty, this is not a surprise to me or any of the PlayStation fans looking forward to the game. Hideo Kojima, Death Stranding was originally announced at E3 2016 and at times has been in the media for multiple delays. And it was just confirmed by Kojima himself that stated Death Stranding is slightly behind schedule, but but will be releasing soon. Now, it's Kojima. What do we know about him? He is notorious for delays. This game, look, I'm going to get it. It's a single-player game, but I'm going to be honest with you. On my hype meter, it's probably a 3. I have no idea what the game's about. It's going to be an action game. Obviously, I think it's, all we've seen is him carry luggage, so I don't know. He's got a baby somewhere. He's fighting ghost things. I don't know what this game is going to be. I'm going to get it because I'm a Kojima fan. But you know what? A delay, does it shock you, Salty?
It does not, man. I've talked about the overrated nature of this guy over and over, man. But it's not surprising, and it surprises me that there's some people out there that thought this game was coming out or still think it's coming out this year, which it's definitely not. I'd be surprised if it comes out in 2020. Honestly, we'll see what happens with this game, man. I'm not wishing for it to do bad or anything. Not even. I hope it does really good, honestly. But it's just we need to hear more, man. Like what's going on with this game? I need to know specifically what type of game it is, and I need to see more gameplay and footage and plot designs and everything. It just needs to be more clear to me to get any kind of excitement going, because it's just what they've shown just doesn't move the meter at all for me.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's just I don't know if I'm not on that wavelength with Kojima or whatever. It's just I don't know if I understand his thought process when he makes games. I don't know, like, cause a lot of his games I just don't get, like they just don't do it for me. So the
stories are very convoluted. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So sometimes with directors or story designers, you just don't click with those people. You know, sometimes with like, you know, movies or TV shows, it just doesn't click with you. And that's just, I think that's the way it is with this guy and me. So I'm pretty sure I'm not going to like this situation, even if I hear more things about it, but we shall see. I'm not surprised, long story short. So.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. You know, in a tweet, Kojima did confirm to fans that the title will be out before the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. I suppose that's saying something, Salty, but not much. And a few people in the chat had a few things to say. Shane Tomlin says it's Norman Reedus stuck in traffic. Philly Eagle, good friend of the show, says that's a FedEx simulator. It looks pretty whack. Yeah, a lot of people are on the side of oh yeah, so Scrub Nurse has to say, to quote Dealer Gaming, FedEx walking simulator. Yes, that video was hilarious. Kasi 1300 says, is Left Alive a Metal Gear Solid lookalike? It does look very Metal Gear-esque. But I mean, obviously has nothing to do with it, but it looks interesting, especially if you're a fan of the old 90s kind of games. I'm going to look into that one for sure. But you know what? Let's bring up a topic that came in late, thanks to Salty here. As reported by WCCFtech.com, cross progression for Realm Royale is now available on all platforms except for the PlayStation 4. And it makes me wonder why Sony is so reluctant to allow this feature. Salty, look, I think it's safe to say this entire generation has been dominated by the PS4, and there's no denying it. One of the taglines that had the fanboys and the toxic community dancing in the aisles is Sony was for the players, and that Sony really cared about them. And this is just another example of not being true. You know, first of all, what are your takes on another game being cross-play, cross-progression, and on every system but the PlayStation 4? How shitty does that make Sony look?
It's bad because, like, up until this point, you know, we have really only gotten the crossplay situation on a few select games when it comes to PlayStation. Epic was the first to kind of put pressure on PlayStation and said it was kind of a flip of the switch. They actually turned it on without permission, if you guys remember.
But by accidentally on purpose,
quote unquote. And then they put, you know, the pressure on. And then PlayStation, you know, did their thing and said, hey, we can do it. And then Sean Layden had some comments about crossplay and said that they've always been open to crossplay. But then you have some developers out there that said, nah, that's not the case. We went to PlayStation and we asked them about it, and they said no, you know. So he kind of got caught up in that situation. So it just looks like they're kind of saying one thing and then doing another. And that's why I brought up this topic to you in the DMs, is because it sticks out like a sore thumb. It's like Realm Royale. You get it on everything, cross progression, which is important for gamers, so they don't have to spend money on multiple platforms. Because I myself, I have multiple platforms like the Switch. I could play it on the Switch or Xbox or PC or whatever, and I don't have to buy, you know, a season pass or the battle pass for multiple consoles, and I can have all my items. It's very pro consumer, and I would say that cross progression is more important for the players than cross play. I think the cross play situation is more important for developers to make sure that the player base stays healthy for a long time. So cross progression is important, and then PlayStation's just not there. So I just think they're saying one thing and doing another. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's you know what? To be honest with you, it's another. You know, it makes me wonder if Sony as a company is regressing. And when you say, well, Boom, what are you talking about? Regressing in what way? Well, you know, we hear all these things that Nintendo was doing. Nintendo was the walled-off garden, right? They didn't let anybody else play in their court, right? It had obviously the big moats, and no one could get in. And Nintendo is now opening their doors to everyone and anyone that wants to be involved with Nintendo. Obviously, they have a secret project going with Microsoft, and it seems that at every turn, Sony kind of puts their foot in their mouth. You know, that big interview with Sean Layden, about how the openness to not to the communities and new gaming ideas and new strategies, and not thinking as Xbox and Sony as a competitor and kumbaya. And then you hear a story like this and you say, well, I don't know. Are they really believing the shit that they're selling? I don't know. It's a questionable move. I agree with you. Everyone keeps saying crossplay, but it's not as important. It's important, folks, but it's not as important as cross progression, exactly for the reasons that Sony, that Salty was just talking about, being able to buy one pass, use it across multiple systems, and everyone be okay with that. But you know what? We're coming close into the 90-minute realm. We have 2 topics to get to, and that will make a total of 19. We added one extra one in here. Before I do that, though, real quick, Philly Eagle with the outstanding $5 super chat. He said, for the uninformed, XBL Gold is free. Sign up for MS Rewards. Take 3 minutes of your time, and you can get a year of gold in as 3 months. Yeah, you're right about that, Philly Eagle. I actually have enough points in the last 4 months for that program, MS Rewards, to get a $50 gift card to Xbox Live, which I'm saving for the Division 2. It's like basically for free, just answering questions daily. It's unbelievable. So if you're not in on the MS Rewards, get in on it, because you can get shit for free like it's crazy. But you know what? Next up, Salty, Days Gone, which I'm hyped for, will reportedly feature 6 hours of cutscenes, and I think that's awesome. The website PlayStation Lifestyle says that Days Gone is already said to feature upwards of 30 hours of content. And apparently, this number can be attributed to players who take the golden path, meaning exploration and side content probably has not been factored into the figure. Now, a little more context has been offered about the title's 30-hour runtime. Reportedly, 6 of those hours will be devoted to entirely new cutscenes. I think that's awesome. I'm going to be honest with you, because, obviously, this game was in development hell for a long time. A lot of people wrote it off. I didn't. I stood strong by it. I bought the collector's edition. It's already paid for. I can't wait for this game. It's going to tell an amazing story. Okay. This information comes to us from a Denmark-based website called Game Reactor. And they reported this news after previewing Days Gone. According to the website, developer Ben Studio shared that the title's 30 hours of gameplay will include 6 hours of cinematics. And how this will be distributed over the course of the full experience at this point remains to be seen. But I'm sure it's going to tell a very incredible, strong story. Now, Salty, this is another story-driven, adult-themed, single-player Sony exclusive that has the potential to sell a lot of PS4s. What do you think of the length of Days Gone? And is it a title you're going to play once you get a PlayStation 4?
No, I won't be playing it. That's the short and sweet of it. I'll probably watch.
No, that's fine.
Since there's 6 hours of cutscenes, I might just watch the. People usually do it on YouTube. They'll kind of put the cutscenes together, and you can watch the story. If it's that intriguing, I might do that. What it comes down to is, no matter how good or how long your cutscenes are, it's all about the gameplay. Because let's be honest, you need both. I'm not going to twist it in a certain way or another. You need both to have a good game. So if you have really good cutscenes and it's 6 hours long, you have a good movie. But you need a good gameplay to kind of have that marriage going on, or it's not going to be good. But I've heard good things about the gameplay. They've improved the performance and all that good stuff. I just need to see more from the gameplay, and then I think they're going to have a good. I think it'll probably score in the mid 80s. I think for this game, probably 85,
but maybe 80. Yeah, probably.
So I don't know. I think if the narrative is good enough, because we're talking about quality over quantity. I don't care. Like, if you put in 16 hours of cutscenes and they suck, you know what I'm saying? Like, I hear the 6 hours and that's fine, but it needs to be very good and very intriguing. Like Red Dead Redemption to me, the story, the narrative, the voice acting, the character development, that was all top notch in my opinion. I know you didn't like it that much, or it's kind of it dragged on for you,
Yeah.
but like I really cared for those characters. And honestly, when I finished the game, I felt like a void in my gaming life. I didn't know what to do with myself because I was so, I don't know, like once you experience a story on that level that you care about so much, it just leaves you feeling empty inside. You're like, oh hell, what am I going to do now? So if that story is good, then that's going to be good. But I don't know. We can't know unless we play it, right, or see it. So I think it's going to be good for the game because it seems like they fixed whatever was wrong with the performance, and then they're saying that the story's good, and if the gameplay is good, then I think it will do very well. You know.
Yeah, obviously I'm hyped for it. I don't want to say that I haven't played third-party games on a PS4. I've played plenty of them, but I have the system for their first-party romps, their first and second-party games that you can't play anywhere else. So this game has me excited. The collector's edition looks dope. I cannot wait for that.
Isn't there a husband and wife dynamic going on in that
Yes,
game?
there is. There's a big, there's a big story with the wife. They released a trailer where they show their wedding. He goes back to the church. He gets attacked. Yeah. It's just it's telling a real gripping story. I'm very excited for it. I know it's going to sell well. And we're getting it soon. It's going to be out sooner than later. I believe it's April. So that's exciting. And last but not least, Forza Street may have accidentally been leaked. And though I'm not sure if the world really needs a Forza title on mobile, according to a story that I pulled, Turn 10 Studios may have outed the existence of an upcoming Forza mobile game. A recent community update had added a link to a sentence mentioning the unannounced mobile game called Forza Street, and even names a developer. GT Planet reports that the mistaken link appeared in the latest Forza Motorsport Weekend review. The link was intended to lead to a story about esports, about an esports winner. Instead, it linked to a description of the game. The link, of course, has been corrected by the Forza site. And this is what it had to say. Developed in partnership with the UK-based studio Electronic Square, Forza Street is built from the ground up to support a wide range of Windows 10, iOS, and Android devices. Salty, does the mobile world need a Forza? And how do you think fans are going to go over with this?
Well, I think so. For mobile games, I've talked about my stance on it. I think if you're a really hardcore gamer like us, it's kind of a difficult proposition for you to be a mobile gamer, especially if you've been in the gaming. I don't know, if you've been gaming for a long time, you're used to the tactile sensory information that you get from playing with a controller, the feedback that you get there from actual physical buttons. So to go to a touchscreen and not have that feedback, it's kind of tough for us old gamers. That being said, with these new gamers, the young kids, as it will, they've had a phone and they've had this ability to play on mobile since they've been babies, basically, so they don't have issues with it. I've talked to some kids that play on mobile and they actually like it. They play Fortnite and stuff like that because they're used to it. So just because we don't like it, we don't prefer it, doesn't mean it's not something that people like to do. When it comes to mobile games, I think that the racing genre, it fits perfectly for that. And I think that they could do very well with this with Forza on mobile, because I myself could even see myself playing it if it performed well, because the driving controls with touchscreen it's doable for me. I've done other racing games on there. It's not the best, but it's not the worst for me, so it's not like where I'm playing PUBG mobile and I have to like do a million things and try to figure out where my fingers are and like reload and do all this other shit. You're just pretty much, trying to steer and it's a lot easier for me to do. So I think it's going to do well. I don't really care. It's just options, they're not taking away anything from myself. They're probably putting a different team on there to make this game. So I think it's good, man.
I mean, look, yeah, I mean, I'll say this. You know, again, does the world really need a Forza mobile game? I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to race out to play, but if I was sitting, let's say, for instance, and my wife is cutting her hair or something, and I didn't want to play Words with Friends or Bejeweled, and I wanted to give it a download, I would probably play it for 10 or 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I mean, who knows if it links to your Microsoft account, maybe even lock achievements. That would be actually kind of cool. I'm interested to see how, where it goes, but more specifically, the quality. And I'm going to say this: I'm pretty confident that if Turn 10 Studios is involved in any way, even if an outside developer is going to make the game, it's probably going to have quality behind it. I mean, they're not going to put out a shit title with Forza as on the front of the box, so to speak. I don't think they would do that, because obviously when you say Forza, it's one of the biggest franchises for the Xbox One as an exclusive. But Salty, I got to tell you, this has been one magnificent 90+ minute show. 19 topics. I think we broke records into how many things we talked about. I hope everyone is digging it, to be honest with you. It's both Salty and I, besides doing our own channels, come together weekly, more so bi-weekly, on each other's channel to put out a news program that you could listen to while you eat lunch, or you're at the gym or at school on a break or whatever. And we hope that you guys are enjoying the show. It seems to be a success for both of our channels because the numbers are there. And you know what? We love doing it. We love hanging out. And more specifically, we enjoy interacting with the community. But Salty, you have a lot of stuff going on. You've done some really awesome videos on your channel. Big announcement for Thursday show, Salty's Gaming Podcast. What else you got going on? And tell everyone where they can follow you, dude.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter first and foremost with social media. That's where you can reach out to me. Saltiest Gaming, the I is a 1. So yeah, reach out to me if you have any questions or whatever. Hit me up there. Saltiest Gaming Podcast is tomorrow. We're gonna have a very special guest, MrBooMStickXL. He's gonna be on there. Yeah, so it's gonna be a marathon going on here. But you guys, it's gonna be awesome. We got some good things planned for that. I put out a funny little. I like to do these meme things and just have fun with the content that I made. I put out this, if you guys didn't know, Xbox is putting out a diskless version of their console, the Xbox One S, and it's actually called the Xbox One S All Digital Edition. Yeah. Which, if you spell it out, it's Xbox One Sad Edition. So I made fun with that and said that there was, I kind of made a commercial. It's just kind of for fun or whatever. It got immediately copyrighted. So wow. Okay. It's funny. They have some computer algorithm that put it out there, but I just like to brighten people's day or whatever, make them laugh. So check that out.
Funny games, right?
Yeah. Check it out if you have time. We're going to be doing a giveaway for Mortal Kombat 11, 2 copies of that. I'm going to probably put the details out for that later this week. So stay tuned for that. And that's about it, man.
Okay, well, real quick, just have to do a quick programming announcement. I obviously on Thursdays is the Xbox Factor podcast, and unfortunately, Drew is on holiday with his fiance and his son. So tomorrow, my guest, my co-host, is going to be the Saltiest Gaming Podcast showrunner. Salty is going to be stepping in to take his place for the day. We'll be coming to you live tomorrow, same time as at noon, and look forward to that. And Friday's show is going to be special because Yobi, the community badass that he is going to be raffling off the Devil May Cry game that released. Devil May Cry 5 is going to be raffled off live on the show on Breakfast with Boom Friday morning. Awesome. So I hope everyone tunes in to see who can be. Again, it's just one copy, but he's giving it away, and he asked me if he could do it, and of course, by all means, he's a tremendous, incredible part of this community, and his giveaways are ridiculous. So he's going to be giving that away. And listen, again, thank you for the entire chat. You guys were absolutely outstanding. Lots of gaming talk, no nonsense. A big shout out to Lethal Papa and UK Dazarus, who are the sheriffs who take care of business when the a-holes come around. Thankfully, I didn't think we had any today, and that's always good. Of course, thank you to Salty, who was my co-host on today's show. And a big thank you to all of the super chats. It's greatly appreciated. You support the channel. Please enjoy the rest of the day, and we will see you tomorrow, both Salty and I, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. Once again, have a great day, and we'll see everyone tomorrow.